Right, Tom, tip number 5, please.
Okay, tip number 5, set occasional open response tasks. And I stress occasional because this isn't something you do a lot. In fact, it only really works really well if it's a special status, which is that it's occasional. So open response tasks are things where you ask the students to report some learning or do something in a form of their choosing without too much structure to it, which of course inherently brings a risk that the structure, some students will find it harder than others, so you have to think about that. But what it means is that you don't mandate the outcome exactly, and so students have to make some choices, and sometimes they just can go crazy and you get some incredible responses. So I would say in my time teaching, the best work I ever saw students do was through this task. So because they just went to town on a bit of learning and they would just blow your mind with their effort. And if you always prescribe everything, you kind of put a limit on it because you think, well, I can't make everyone do this incredibly expansive thing. But if you say, do whatever you like, or so I have some examples. I often do this in training about stretch and challenge, for example, and I've got some great examples to show. So one of my all-time favourite one was 2 boys in year 7 who were 11 when I taught RE. And at the end of each unit, where we taught lots of knowledge, I would say, okay, so now summarise the unit in any form you choose. And some students would do like a kind of little pamphlet guide to, the key aspects of Christianity or Islam. But these boys, some people made a video, which was really interesting. A couple of PowerPoints, which I would try to discourage, because if everyone does a PowerPoint, you don't want to watch them. But these boys made a website. They said, can we make a website? I said, I don't know, can you make a website? They said, yeah, we did it in year 4 and we know how to make websites. So I said, okay, I thought it would be absolutely ridiculous, but it was amazing. And it's just, they made this incredible website called Embracing Islam. And it's got all these tabs explaining the science, Islam and science, marriage, ceremonies, misconceptions of Islam, the 5 pillars of Islam. It's got embedded YouTube clips of them performing the different rituals in the 5 pillars of Islam. The next term, they upgraded and they made Embracing Christianity, and it says, from the award-winning creators of Embracing Islam. It's just epic. It's got a tab comparing Islam and Christianity. These boys are 11. And it's like, that's an extraordinary thing to be able to do. But if I just followed the scheme of work, which just said, they would never have done that. They would never have had that opportunity. They would never have. And that was just one of several examples I could give. It's just, sometimes you think, wow, isn't that great? Another example, a girl in year 8 who I taught for science, and we'd done a unit on selective breeding and inheritance. And I just said, I want you to come up. I want you to tell the story of a kind of an animal or a species or a plant of your choice to tell its story in terms of selection, natural selection. And she chose dogs, and she made this sort of like a YouTube video, like a bedroom, like a YouTuber. It was her in her bedroom telling everyone about selective breeding of dogs and how they're the same species. They're not different, but they're just being bred to look different. And I swear to God, I'd never heard her speak so long in a lesson. She gave this extended answer. She explained it brilliantly. She was really passionate. And when she played the video in class, people were sort of like, is that you? That's just amazing. You know so much and you're so enthusiastic. I totally changed my perception of her. Again, it was the opportunity to do it in a special way. Now, you wouldn't do that week in, week out. So you have to set it up. You say, here's the task. This is what quality looks like. This would be low quality. This would be high quality. But leave some room for choices to be made. And of course, there are some students who like if you're struggling, just do this. It's sort of a bedrock kind of structure for you because you'll need that. But you let it happen and then celebrate what you get. And in my opinion, because it's so occasional, it doesn't even matter if everybody even does it, really. It's just that some children really took the opportunity and bring in amazing things, and then you can celebrate that. Look what we can do. And then the others get the idea, and then they're more likely to do it the next time. So I just think it's just a lovely feature of a flow of lessons that you give students that kind of opportunity to express themselves, and they rise to it.
It's lovely that, Tom. I'll tell you 2 errors I've made with this in the past. So one you've alluded to there is the PowerPoint error. So in maths, I've had students do a kind of each pair of kids was allocated a topic to do like a revision presentation on, and then present it to the class. The first time you watch, first 10 minutes of the lesson is quite good because it's fresh and novel. But by the time the 7th PowerPoint is on, you are bored out of your mind. The kids are bored out of your mind. It's a disaster waiting to happen. So that's error number 1. So I love the fact that there's a variety of approaches. I really like that. Error number 2, and I'm interested in your take on this, is I then got bogged down with trying to assess it. I think that was a real problem. I'm thinking, all right, if I've set this task and the kids have put effort into it, there needs to be something to come out of it for the kids. So do they need a grade? Do they need a level? What am I doing here? And then it becomes incredibly difficult because you've got some kids doing a website, some kids doing a PowerPoint, blah, blah, blah. Is assessment important here, or is it more just that kind of the process of doing it that's important?
Oh, it's definitely the process is the most important. And if you kill the process with the assessment, it kills the spirit. Remember, it's, they're going to do tests. They're going to do odd stuff to assess their knowledge in other ways. This is a celebration. And so you affirm, you have a lesson, but where you bring it all in and you celebrate what you have, and you focus on all the students who've done it, not get bogged down in who hasn't. And I used to feel that was a bit of a teacher's skill, is to kind of like make the students who hadn't done things feel sort of bad for themselves that they weren't part of it, so they're motivated in the future. But you can do things like success criteria, so quick kind of like, does it. And you can get sort of peer feedback on certain things, like does it communicate the knowledge? Do they communicate it well? And I've done that sort of thing. But you're certainly saying in setting up, it's like a sort of show and tell for the moment. It's like bring it in and celebrate, and that's why it's so, like you said, it's so important to have a variety. It's useful to have a few things you can look at visually, like as well as a few things that have to be presented in time. And if they're all time, like all videos, all PowerPoints, all stand up and present, it just takes too long. So it's great to have like, let's all get our stuff out and see what we've made. So it's a bit of a subtle skill of trying to engineer that diversity. It can work though if it's sort of open response in terms of the selection. So I've done some lovely ones with, say, scientists. Like you have a sort of set structure, like it sounds naff, but it isn't, like a fact file on, say, a weird and wonderful creature. But when you're doing natural selection and habitats, and people bring and they found this crazy fish, and they've done a sort of display of it, and everyone's seeing the things that they've picked. And it can be about scientists, and how do you bring all the stuff into the classroom? Find out about a famous person and their discovery, and you do a little poster, and we put it around the room. That sort of thing, I think, is again occasional. It's not. It's one of the 10 homeworks. Yeah. Is an open response task. That's great. It's not like instead of doing 30 practice questions, it's a once in a term type deal, and then it keeps it in perspective, and then you can then invest a bit of time in making it good.